All right. Hey there, and welcome to another episode of the OCD and Anxiety Show. My name is Matt Cotty, and I'm a licensed clinical social worker and the founder of Restored Minds and the creator of the AAA Response. I know it's a mouthful. Today, I want to talk about beliefs. And so, in the last couple episodes, we've been talking about the idea of, in the last episode, we talked about the idea of switching to a solution-focused approach. And I talk about the AAA response and how that's what we teach, because I just believe in that idea of being solution oriented. And when we shift into the solution oriented mode, we are able to stop focusing on the problems, right? Because a lot of what perpetuates OCD and anxiety is our misperception or our belief that of what the problem is, right? So, let me explain. So if we think, for that thought we don't want, or if we have no feelings that we don't like, right? This, of course, being intrusive thoughts or feelings of anxiety. Well, the thing is if that's our focus, we're always going to focus on our thoughts and feelings. That's where our whole attention is going to be placed, because we are operating from the place of, I can't have these thoughts and I can't have these feelings. So our goal is to eliminate them so that we're okay. And the problem with that is that the harder and harder you try not to have thoughts, the more you're going to have them. The harder and harder you try not to feel anxiety, the more you're going to experience it. And so you get caught in this loop. And the perception is that you have this chronic condition, right? That you just always have this ailment or illness. And I don't believe that. Right. I don't personally subscribe to that belief at all. I totally think that OCD and anxiety is something that you can overcome. And part of it comes into shifting our belief about what the problem is. So I wanted to read something here from a man named Emmett Fox. And this is a quote in another book, but I'm going to take the time to read it on the show here, because, they're talking about, when you understand solutions to problems. And it's really, I think it's so applicable to OCD and anxiety. So a bogey, the quote is by Emmett Fox, a bogey that you do not believe in has no power to hurt you or worry you. The boogeyman who lives under the cellar stairs cannot frighten or deceive you now, because you do not believe in him. But when you were 3 years old, it was very different. Then he had the power to raise your heartbeat to a gallop. Yet today he cannot cause a flicker of an eyelash, because you do not believe in him. That is the whole difference. Nothing in reality has changed. There is no boogeyman, and there never was at any time. The difference is in you. Now, the reason that I wanted to share that on the show today is because with OCD and anxiety, so many of us operate from the idea that once I have no thoughts and no feelings, and we see them as the enemy, the bogey, right? The ailment, the thing that we need to get rid of, then I'll do all the things that I want, and then I'll be okay. I'll be safe, right? And what recovery really is about is understanding that that's an illusion, right? That the thoughts were never dangerous in the first place, and feelings were never dangerous. In fact, you're already safe right now, right? Because many of you, if you just look at yourself, if you're watching or listening to the show, chances are you're in a safe place, or you wouldn't be doing this, right? But our nervous system is sending off these signals that we're in danger, and we're interpreting these thoughts as dangerous and these feelings as dangerous, and the belief that they're dangerous is what's driving this cycle that we get caught in. And so in the mistake we make is we try to control the things that we have no control over, like I talk about, when we're trying to change our thoughts and change our feelings. But when we shift our belief to controlling our behaviors, and more importantly, our belief of what the problem really is, like what if you shifted to your belief to the idea that the problem is your belief about the thoughts and feelings, not the feelings and thoughts themselves? I know we're going a little meta here, and that's why he's a metaphysicist, right? Or he studies metaphysics, right? The guy I was quoting. So belief is everything. And what is belief? Let's talk about that for a second. Belief is your story. It's your, and I would say your belief is not even your story. It's your story that you subconsciously adopt or that you just assume to be true. Like there's no questioning of the story. That's what makes it a belief, right? It's like it's solidified as a truth, but it's really just a story. And when we're able to change the belief about something, that changes the entire story about that thing, which then changes our reaction to it and ultimately our behavior. And this is why, in Taking Back Control and in the program, we go so deep into challenging belief structures, right? It's like, because belief is what actually drives the behavior. And I wanted to just offer this idea today that what if we took a chance, or kind of a new approach to this idea of OCD and anxiety recovery. And yes, sure, we're still, doing the same tools and all that. But what if we added in to this idea, this belief that the thoughts and feelings aren't the problem? That the only reason they seem like a problem is because we believe they're a problem. And then therefore we treat them like a problem, and we treat them like a problem by engaging in compulsions, which there paradoxically keeps us stuck. And the belief that they're the problem is what gives them power over you. See, because if you operate, and I talk about this idea of giving away your power often, if you operate from the idea of once I have no thoughts and no feelings, right? Once I have no anxiety, once I have no intrusive thoughts, once I have this, then I'll be okay. That idea of whatever you think you need to have now has complete control over you and power over you. The mere presence of it will disrupt you. But if you shift it into this idea of I'm already okay, I'm already safe, regardless if I have thoughts and feelings, it loses its grip on you. It loses its power. So many people do this with so many things in their life. So this is not like a new concept, right? Or something that's not applicable to many aspects of our life. Many people do this, right? Many people do this with, their careers, right? Once I have this title, then my life will be good. Once I have the perfect spouse, or, X amount of children, or this salary, or this house, or, and I'm so guilty of this in many aspects of my life, and something that I'm becoming more and more aware of. But once we operate from this idea that I need to have something, that thing now has power over you, and it controls your life, and your decisions are made around this. And this is what happens with intrusive thoughts and anxiety, is that we give our power to it. We give our internal well-being away to the presence of something. Because the moment it shows up, the moment it pops into our mind, or we feel anxious, we react. The reason we react to it is not because of what it is, it's because of the story we have about it. Our beliefs about the thoughts and feelings are what cause our overreaction, and changing. Because think about it. Think about something you used to be afraid of, or maybe an experience you've had in the past with OCD and anxiety that doesn't bother you anymore. The question I would pose to you is, why doesn't it bother you? Why doesn't it bother you? Like, you think about something you used to be afraid of, and how you can have that exact same thought that used to trigger that fear in you today, and it does nothing to you. Well, why is that? The thought didn't change. The possibility of that thing didn't change. Your belief about it did. And when your belief about it changes, then essentially it disrupts the entire pattern. And this is why, when we're talking about OCD and anxiety recovery, yes, we can talk about ERP, and we can talk about ACT and mindfulness. And what most people do is they focus on these surface techniques and tools. And yes, they are very important. And I'm not by any means discrediting them or saying that it's like you don't need them or anything like that. But what I'm saying is what most people do is they try to use these tools to get what they want out of them, meaning having no thoughts and having no feelings. And often they run into a lot of frustration with the tools and say, well, it's a thing where they think the tools don't work for them. And that's not it. You're still operating from these beliefs that you have a misunderstanding of the problem. So it makes sense that the tools aren't working if you're operating with these belief structures. And that's why when we match behavioral tools, right, and move into it, so more importantly, when we move into a solution-focused process like the AAA response, and we parallel it with changing our belief structures that are underneath our behaviors, that's when we start seeing like radical change. And again, it's not necessarily that we actually get the result that we initially wanted of I had no thoughts and no feelings, because that's not human. And essentially you'd be not human at that point. You're just having no thoughts and no feelings, right? I don't know anyone who doesn't have thoughts they don't like or feelings that are uncomfortable. That's part of the human experience. But when we're able to shift our beliefs into what the problem really is, right, and actually able to step into the place of like, maybe I'm already safe, like even challenging that idea for yourself. If you can do that this week, if you can actually just ask yourself, like, what if I'm already okay? What if I didn't have to have this thing the way I think I need to have it, and I can actually step into a place where I'm already okay? I'm already safe. I might not feel like it inside, but what if that's the truth? What if that really was the truth? And I wanted to offer these ideas today because this idea of challenging and changing your belief structures. I mean, I've seen so much in especially people in the program that have gone through Taking Back Control. I've just seen that be such transformative work. And it just comes from a deeper level. And when we start going and operating from a deeper level and looking at this from a much wider lens, it doesn't seem so overwhelming. See, so one of the problems with OCD and anxiety is we get so hyper focused on this one aspect, and we try to control this one aspect that we have no control over. So it seems out of control. But when we're able to step back from everything, we're actually able to see it from a completely different perspective, and more importantly, start to really get, change our whole modalities of how we've been operating. And that's what allows the illusion of the problem to essentially kind of alleviate. Now, I'm not saying that it's not a real experience. I've been in it, right? The thoughts, when they're super powerful, because anxiety is really heavy. But when we start shifting our beliefs about what we're experiencing, and we start focusing on the things that are really in our control and moving to solution-focused processes, that's when we really start to see major transformation happen in the individual. And so I wanted to share that today. I hope it's helpful. We have some resources down in the links below that can help you on your journey. A free guide you can download to get started. And also, if you would please show your support by liking and subscribing and sharing and even leaving a comment. It really helps with the algorithm. And for those of you that are listening via podcast, if you could take the time to please write a review over on Apple Podcasts or iTunes. It would just really help our show, and we really appreciate if you would show your support by doing that. So thank you so much for taking the time to hang out today. I hope this has been helpful, and please, as always, send us any questions and that you'd like us to cover in future episodes. With that said, I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the next episode. Take care. Thank you so much for watching that video. And so if you're struggling with OCD and anxiety, I just wanted to let you know that we have a free training for you over at Restored Minds, where you can start learning how to use our AAA response to really break out of that loop and ultimately take back control of your life. And all you need to do to access is just click the little link below, and you'll be taken to a page where you can register today. Thank you so much.